Now, in a build-up to the report we've got on FEMA camps confirmed, the actual rendition hubs confirmed, not only in LA, but in dozens and dozens of sites all over the U.S., this program of military drills in the streets, helicopters flying over, simulated explosions that we've seen going on for decades. In the past, when you talked about this, they would say you were a kook. I mean, I could video this in Austin or San Antonio, and the news would say we're not going to cover it. And I'd have black helicopters firebombing buildings they'd covertly leased. Now when they do it, they admit, yes, the military is training to basically take on the American people, and it's a wonderful thing. So here's the article by Steve Watson. Military helicopters conduct covert exercises over U.S. bank buildings. This is all part of other drills going on to acclimate the public to being attacked by our own military that are happening here in the United States. Here it is.
LAPD and elite military units conducted extraordinary counterterrorism training in the skies above downtown LA tonight.
At one point, they made what appeared to be a drop-off at a park. Within seconds of landing, the helicopter was back in the air.
It was a strange sight in the skies over Los Angeles. Military Special Forces flying a practice mission last night, and there are more exercises scheduled for today.
And again, they have giant bases. They have military bases that have large buildings. They could do this on base. This is done to acclimate you for the end of posse comitatus, troops on the streets, and using the military against citizens. Oh, and of course, I've been talking about this for 16 years plus on air. Now it's all admitted, not just from leaked documents we got that the corporate prostitute media ignored. Now the NDAA, the John Warner Defense Authorization Act, Northcom, Brigade Homeland, it's all admitted the military training to take over your cities, to take over Capitol buildings in states that don't go along with these criminal orders. Now, speaking of that, we have this special report put together quickly just in the last 24 hours by Rob Dew. Because when I got this phone call a few days ago by a guy that owns a limousine company in L.A., he talked about how this old parking area he would go to had been turned into a new facility, and they'd put up barbed wire fences facing both ways, had gates where buses can go in, and when he mistakenly went there a few times looking for the place to park, when he was waiting, the police basically came after him. And he had seen my other documentaries and noticed that he'd seen similar facilities around the country. So we're first going to go in this report to Pier 57 from 2004 in New York, where they put thousands of peaceful political protesters in a stockade and actually ran buses inside, making them sick and laughing at them, and had porta potties. And I'd seen this before, 5 years before, in Austin, and it's still there, but now it's at Bergstrom, not just the old airport, Robert Mueller, where they have giant hangars with bolts and chains in the floors, porta potties, cots, barbed wire, which they admit are for civil unrest periods to bring the political dissidents, interrogate them, and then decide who gets sent out to the government aircraft for rendition that we just showed you earlier. That's a black bag over the head, and you go to a center overseas to be killed, to be tortured, whatever the case is. And remember, we've got clips of U.S. senators saying, we want Americans to be scared. Lieberman, you're an American, you say, I want a lawyer, shut up, you don't get one. This is all about the criminals that have hijacked the government, sold the derivatives, bankrupted the nation, federalized everything. This is about their takeover of society. And I cannot stress to you how hardcore this info is, just confirming that they have these hubs to then relocate people. And that's all in the Emergency Centers Establishment Act. It's in Rex 84. They admit it's the old military bases is where you'll be taken. Also, we have more prisons than any other country in the world, larger prison population. They've got old derelict prisons shut down and waiting in the Military Commissions Act, in the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp program, in all of these. And you can search engine every term I'm giving you and have government documents admitting it. When the media says, oh, we investigated camps and can't find them, that's bull. That's them putting fake garbage, we've learned, on the web that are straw men to lead you to things that aren't real. We're giving you the facts. And you've heard the NDAA saying they'll arrest you and kill you or torture you and disappear you. So stop living in denial. So we're going to first go to Pier 57, then back to 99 with Robert Mueller. 57's from 2004. Sand Point is from 99 in Seattle. And notice it's run by FEMA. Oh, the old military base is shut down. FEMA runs it now, and they put the protesters in there. It's always FEMA. That's in the regulations as well. And then we've got LAX from January 2012. Here is this incredible report. FEMA camps confirmed. These are rendition kidnapping hubs. It doesn't get more important than this. Imagine if people would have known about Hitler early on and actually fought him. He could have been defeated. Or Lenin or Stalin or Mao. This is America. We're not perfect, but you know what? We're not poor serfs in Russia or Germany. We're going to fight back, and we're going to fight back with the info war while the sun's still shining. The sun's setting on our republic. Tyranny's coming in, and people are starting to listen. You want hardcore data? Here it is. We're in New York City, right here on the Hudson River. And this condemned former bus station where they stored the buses is being used to hold over 2,000 protesters. And they admit that they randomly set up fences and scoop up whole crowds of people and then take them here. And for over 3 days, they've not let people talk to lawyers, call out, talk to their families. Some have been released. Some have gone to the hospital with rashes over their entire bodies. This building is condemned. The city admits it. The bus union wouldn't allow them to use it years ago, so they turned it into an emergency police facility. It's full of asbestos, chemicals, oils from decades and decades and decades in this 70-year-old building, and the average stay for someone scooped up in there is over 24 hours. The city even admits that.
Many of the nearly 2,000 protesters arrested over the past few days have been taken to an old bus depot on Manhattan's West Side. But now the use of Pier 57 as a temporary holding facility is stirring up some controversy of its own. Protests are being held there to spotlight conditions. Some of those being detained say they're getting sick. There are reports of cramped conditions, rashes, chemical burns, and difficulty breathing.
We should call this facility what it is, and it's a concentration camp. It's the Pier 57 concentration camp.
The mayor has the nerve, and the police commissioner has the nerve to allow this to happen, to actually stick people in an oil-filled garage with asbestos.
Across the nation, at airports and old military bases, they're installing hangars and structures to intern the American people under military control. They're also integrating local police. You've already seen some of the evidence. But even the town where I live, Austin, Texas, is not immune from these activities. We're told that there's a holding facility here on the old Robert Mueller Municipal Airport, a hangar to hold people. Have you been inside there?
No, not since they fixed it up. I haven't. I was there before they fixed it up.
How did they fix it up?
Well, you probably don't recognize it, but it's an abandoned hangar at the old airport just off 51st Street. Today and tomorrow, sheriff's employees are turning this place into a booking center and even a holding cell. Now, it really doesn't look like much, and okay, it's really not, but it is a perfect place to set up shop. Anyone arrested in the Travis County area during the New Year's Eve party for a Class C misdemeanor will be brought out here. Sheriff's officials tell me it's pretty primitive. Inmates will be fingerprinted and allowed 2 free phone calls. Then they'll be held here for about 4 hours, just enough time to sober up. Then they'll be released and expected to appear in court in the future. Only people who have ID on them will be brought out here since they won't have the capability to run fingerprint checks, and they're mostly expecting people arrested for public intoxication down in the A2K and 6th Street areas. This temporary booking facility opens up for business tomorrow night. That's Thursday at 8 o'clock.
We're hoping to get staff acclimated to working in this environment starting tomorrow with hopefully a low volume of arrests. So hopefully by come Friday night, everyone will know how the flow is going to work in here and be used to it.
The holding cell is surrounded by this chain link fence, and the fire marshal has told the sheriff's department that they can hold about 380 people in here, and the sheriff's deputies are ready for a busy night.
Anyone who got in their way was arrested and shipped to a FEMA center, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. in direct violation of posse comitatus, had Delta Force on the ground from day one of the demonstrations and protest, continually integrating the local, state, county, and city police under federal command. This should be a giant red flag for any American concerned about their God-given rights and their freedom in this country.
At least 250, perhaps more, and those that have been taken into custody from the streets of downtown Seattle protesting for a variety of reasons. The World Trade Ministers here on their visit. You see them here with their hands pretty much cuffed behind their backs with those plastic sort of strap handcuffed apparatus. They are being led into the Sandpoint Brig. Remember, we told you about this story, dancing all the way in some cases. We told you about this story a couple of weeks ago. A number of the neighbors in that area of Sandpoint Naval Air Station were shocked to hear that the old brig was being reopened just in case it was needed, and it has been. As we said, at least 250 arrests now, maybe more.
And we've seen 400 people arrested. The facility at Sandpoint, we're told, is full. We're told they did not create another one at Boeing Field. But they continue to arrest people, and they continue to crack down hard on the protesters this afternoon.
The worst thing is I finally saw something with my own eyes. It's one thing to talk about it and hear people talk about it on the radio, etc. I saw this with my own eyes at LAX, the Los Angeles airport. They've built a giant human holding pen. It's obvious. It's quite obvious what it's for. It's for processing people. This thing, they used to park all of our limousines and cars and buses at the eastern end of the north set of runways. There's two sets of runways at LAX. They used to park all of us at the eastern end of the north runway where the planes would land right over the top of us. They moved us all out of there this past summer, which I thought was strange. What I saw was when I pulled in there, and I was followed twice by the cops when I pulled in and I took pictures. This thing it's a holding pen. It could hold thousands of people. It's right next to the tarmac. There's no buildings, no nothing. It's like a 10 or 12-foot fence with a permanent concrete base around the base of it. And there's two sets of barbed wire on top facing in and out. So, there's fences like that all over around the airport area.
They actually have one of those at Bergstrom and at the old airport. And I first reported it was a secret holding pen. But the news said I was a conspiracy theorist, but that it was to hold people during civil unrest. So I'm bad for being right and breaking the news. I don't get an award. I'm bad because I'm right, and it's kooky not to like it.
What's going on at the old airport?
This is where the party could end up, Walt, if A2K and Y2K partiers do get out of hand.
These turnstiles, let me describe them, because you could say, well, it's part of an airport. No. These are those big tubular steel turnstiles. They go in, they don't come back out. There's no way to get back out. There's 4 sets of them, so there's like 16 turnstiles that go into this thing. And it's like the size of 3 football fields. You could get thousands of people. The thing about it that proves what it is because there's on the fence that goes onto the tarmac. You go straight onto the airport tarmac, where, what kind of security is that? They put a big black gate that you can pull trucks, buses, whatever, into this holding pen. So it's built to move lots of people quickly into this pen and then move them onto the tarmac. Now, what is that for? Except to move people and put them onto aircraft?
No, that's like the Oklahoma City Federal Processing Center. And this is actually all in the Emergency Centers Establishment Act. And it's just these creepy crooks and all the stuff with our money they've built against us because they know they're a bunch of crooks.